Dolphins thirsty, they never show no mercy. On the field or in the game, Miami knows how to play. Dolphins thirsty, we all get down and dirty. Tell you what you wanna know, it's the Dolphins Show. Quench your thirst for all things Miami Dolphins. They are the football kings, cause they play to win. Come on in and have some fun, whether we have lost or we have won. For all things Miami, it's Dolphins Thursday.
Hi guys, welcome to Dolphins Memories. Hi, and my special guest, Tati. Thank you for coming.
Hi.
Bobby made it sound like it was much harder to convince you to come on than it was.
Yeah, I mean, he has been wanting to get me to do one of these, but I haven't want to. I'm more of a behind the scenes type of person than an in front of the camera person. So yeah, cameras and microphones make me nervous. For somebody who's as vocal as I am in a one-on-one setting, this setting over here, it feels like extraterrestrial for me. It feels like out of this world.
You're better trolling the comments. I gotcha.
Yeah, I am. Oh yeah, and if I have you face to face, I can have these discussions and conversations with you. Versus, I don't know, there's something about the camera setup that I go, oh, okay, this is not my world.
It can be intimidating. I am with you. Like the first time I did the show with Thirsty, it was definitely intimidating. And then I just learned, like, who cares? We're here.
Absolutely.
So for those who don't know that you're the brains behind Fins Talk Sports Network, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you?
I feel like Bobby gives me a lot more credit than I deserve. He's basically the creative mind behind everything. He does the graphics. He knows about sports more than any other person I've ever known, especially football. It's kind of annoying because we've done these games in the car where I say a random team and a random position and he in random year, and he tells me who the person was playing that year. He's like a football encyclopedia, and it's almost annoying, but I like quizzing him because I get a kick out of it. So in terms of sports and all of that, the brain is him. But because of my background in advertising and another famous YouTube channel that I used to work with, he has asked for my input in occasions, and I'm able to give it. And because of that, I feel like, there's a perfect balance of like the business strategic side and then the creative side that he's the master at.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Hey, it works. It works.
So enough about Bobby. Tell me about you. Are you from Florida? Like, where do you come from? What's your story? How'd you get here?
I was born and raised in the island of Puerto Rico. When I was 19 years old, I basically spent, like, from the moment I turned 16, 17, my goal was to teach myself English good enough so I could move to the States. And when I feel like I reached that threshold, I went ahead and at 19, I left the island and moved to Florida. I went to film school in Florida, and that's where I met Bobby.
Okay.
So the first day of class, that's when I met Bobby. I would like to say that it was an instant click. I think from his side it was, but he was a little bit unlikable. Don't tell him that. It was this cockiness to him that I couldn't stand.
Did he have his beard at this point, or was there a beard yet?
No, he had a beard. You could tell that he was somebody who could grow a beard. I actually ended up, eventually, when we started going out, I carded him because when he told me he was 21, I didn't believe it. I thought he was like 30 because he acted like an old man. He wore the button-down shirts. He carried himself like an old man. After I met his grandpa, God bless him, I understood why. He spent a lot of time with his grandpa, and I could tell that a lot of that rubbed off on him. And like, I even asked for his ID. I was like, I don't believe you're 21. You got to show me. And he showed me his ID. He showed me his ID. Yeah.
He probably was like, I have all this game in the world. And then his date turns around and she's like, can I just say, do you have an AARP card yet? Or
so, yeah, I mean, we met and, the friendship started. But yeah, I carded him. I believe, I don't remember if we were at the Ale House or the Wing House. I know we were having chicken wings. And I carded him and I confirmed the year he was born. I was like, oh wow, you look older. I don't know if that was a compliment or not, but hey, we've been together for 15 years, so if that doesn't tell you something.
He did something right,
He did do something right, definitely. He is that type of person who I like to tell people he was a father before he became a father because of how he carried himself. So, when you mix that with my somewhat ADHD, crazy, immature self at times, it's a perfect match made in heaven, let me tell you.
I wouldn't think that any of us are immature. I think that we have really intelligent, intellectual conversations behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, we never mess around. I'm really glad that this turned into like a solid 5 minutes of just roasting Bobby. I think that
I love it.
I couldn't have asked for anything better than this.
Let's continue to do this, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he took you on a first date and did your taxes. I mean, what more could you?
No, I'm the one who does the taxes.
Oh, that's great. So, growing up, you were not a football fan, right?
I knew what football was because of Little Giants, Any Given Sunday, and the replacements. That's all I knew about American football. I have to admit, I loved Keanu Reeves in the movie. And I mean, I was not a fan of football. I just found it very hard how there's a guy like down with his butt up with a guy behind him. I'm like, is this a sport?
So what was your main sport growing up?
My main sport, here's the thing. Personally, my main sport was boxing.
Okay.
Because of, there's a boxer we had in Puerto Rico named Tito Trinidad, who to me, like the way I had this conversation with Bobby where he was, for Dolphins, that he was my Dan Marino. Like he was, Tito Trinidad is that boxer that I grew up admiring, loving. And every time I see interviews with him, I get teary-eyed because it brings me back to my childhood memories. Not only that, I got involved in the sport because my best friend's father was a coach. He opened a boxing gym in my hometown and they toured the island. And at times I joined them in the tours, where the boxing fights happen in different towns around the island. So I immersed myself in the sport. And if I talk about true love for sport, boxing is my true love. Like that's where my heart lies. Now, culturally speaking, in my hometown, basketball was it. We have a team called the Atléticos, and it was like the first founded basketball, team in Puerto Rico. Like this is called, my town is called the crib of basketball, la cuna del baloncesto, which means it's because all the basketball players from the island would go to my hometown to build themselves up and then go and play for other towns. So it's like they raised themselves there. So my heart is orange for that, and I grew up going to the games. My parents are huge fans of the Atléticos. The main road would close, and then we would go on a caravan, and we'll just beep the horns. And culturally speaking, I immersed myself in basketball because of them and because of my family being a huge fan. And I believe that same fire is what I felt for the Heat. When I became a Heat fan, I felt the association between that team that I loved and the fire that the fans had with the fire that people in Miami Hialeah has for the Heat. I love the Heat.
Yeah, Heat culture it's a way of
it's
life.
Insane, and I love it.
It's for sure. So did you get into Heat culture before Bobby, or did Bobby help you get into Heat culture?
Bobby is the one who got me into the Miami sports. I am a Miami Dolphins fan by marriage. I don't think I would be if I wasn't married to Bobby. Now the Heat, I feel like the Heat transcends that, where I could see, even if I had not met Bobby, I could see myself immersing myself in the Miami Heat and being a fan because of what it reminds me of. But yeah, I am a football fan and like a Miami sports fan because I'm married into it. And like people say, when you marry somebody, either one part ends up influencing the other in certain areas. In the sports area, he definitely influenced me, and I was introduced to this world.
No, I think it's great to talk to people because there's so many different types of sports fans. There's the diehard from birth. There's converted on their own, married into it. Around Philly, we have a ton of like, I like to call them like social fans. Like they wear the Eagles shirt because it's on sale and it's your local team, but they're not like watching the games die hard. So I think that it's interesting to hear how everybody got into a sport, because it's not always the same story for everyone.
Oh no, absolutely not.
And I think it's really cool to hear people's stories. My question, so these Atleticos, did I say that right?
Yes.
Did anybody from that, would we know anybody? Like, did any of them make it to the NBA? Do they like pull?
I don't remember if Arroyo played for them. I know Carlos Arroyo. I don't remember if Carlos Arroyo played for them, but I do. I don't know if anybody knows him, but Eddie Casiano was like the star of that team, who is now the coach of that team, and he made it to the. I don't know if anybody remembers during that either pre-Olympic or Olympic game where Puerto Rico won against the United States, and it was like Puerto Rico All-Stars, like from the island game, and that's the year where Arroyo went like that with the shirt and everybody went crazy, and it became part of the news, you know, of the newspaper. From that specific team, I don't remember. I don't remember if Arroyo played for that team specifically. I know for a fact Eddie Casiano is like the biggest name. Okay. He's still a staple in my hometown, and he's still a staple in Puerto Rico. He's one of the most respected players ever. And I feel a little sad that he didn't get the recognition that JJ Barea and Carlos Arroyo at one point got in the NBA, because I believe Eddie Casiano had that grit and had that technical skill and that, you know, overall basketball, that qualities of an amazing player. It makes me a little sad that he didn't transcend that. But yeah, I'm from a very small town. It's one of the oldest towns in Puerto Rico, in the southwest of the island. So yeah, I don't know if anybody from that team has made it big in the NBA or something like that.
Well, yeah, the international scene is kind of blowing up right now with the NBA. So I mean, it's awesome, you know? So
now Hollis Jefferson. Do you know who Hollis Jefferson is?
No.
Okay, I believe he played for the Heat at one point, and he plays for that team now. Like Eddie Casiano was able to bring him into our team, and he lives for a short period of time in my hometown, so he can play for for that team.
I think it's so, I didn't even know Puerto Rico had a team, so that's really, it's so interesting to see like these other cultures, these other countries are picking up like what I would consider like American sports, like football and basketball, and so it's definitely interesting. I had no idea. Do they have like an Olympic team?
Yeah, Puerto Rico has an Olympic team, and in the basketball series they have a team. But the BSN, which is the national basketball teams, is made up from different municipalities. Hollis Jefferson that played for the Heat, he played for the Nets. Oh, sorry. Yes, Hollis Jefferson. Oh well, whatever. That tells you how much I know about American stuff. Hi, Georgette. Georgette works with me. I love her. She's like my BFF. I love that she's here. I do like the birds, Georgette. Here's the thing. One of my great friends that I have a special place in my heart for him. He was born and raised in Philadelphia. And he is a Birds fan. So I see his fire, and I saw like every time I would talk to him about either the 76ers, I think that's the Philly basketball game, and that basketball team, and the Eagles. So then now fast forward to I leave that job, come to this one, and I meet Georgette, who's my best friend at my new place. And she's from Philly, and she's the Philly Eagles fan. So of course I love the Eagles. I know I've heard their fans are crazy. I haven't experienced the crazy fans because the fans that I've met have been delightful with me.
Think like more sober Bills fans.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I get it.
Bills fans, but like with weapons. That's what I like to say. Like,
no, yeah, I get it. I hear it gets crazy. Hey, when I heard Bradley Cooper saying he would give up an Oscar for a Super Bowl, I realized the level of madness that a team fan could have, because I could never imagine that in a million years that somebody would say that.
Kevin Hart, when they won the Super Bowl, Kevin Hart like stormed the field and like tried to hold the Super Bowl. Like, he's probably like the most hysterically.
He's a crazy Eagles fan. I know. Yep.
Very crazy. But you know, but the Sixers, I'm trying to convince Bobby, maybe you can help me, for Goon Squad next week. I'll be at the Heat Sixers game. I said I should live podcast. Like,
yes.
Let's do Goon Squad. I'll be live podcasting for like 10 minutes in the stands with Sixers fans.
I love it. Please do so. I'll tell them to. Yes.
Because that will definitely be that's a time. Now I will be tame because I'm taking the kids. So like,
of course.
But my brother's gonna be there too. So I'm going with the 6'4" big dude. So like I can run my mouth a little bit more because I'll just be like, you can fight him, and everybody thinks that like he's with me. So they're like, I just defer to him, or I can just like leave the kids. Leave the kids with him and go find Duncan Robinson.
I love Duncan Robinson too, so I get it.
Not even like an attractive level. Like I don't find him the least bit attractive, but like I'm attracted to his style of play.
I do feel the same. I do feel the same. So
Howard, my obsession with Xavier Howard. I would never like want to date Xavier Howard, but I'm obsessed with Xavier Howard.
I get that. Okay.
Oh yes, CB, we are going to be collabing soon. When he lets me know when. Everybody, drop the link. That's all you got. Just drop the link. That's Bobby made me that really cool little banner.
Anytime you need somebody to drop the link, just send that to them. Send that sticker to them. Drop the link.
That's all you need to do.
That's all you need to do.
Yeah, you're a natural too. We can drop the link for Tati too, because she'll come on and chat.
Don Ballin chose me for this.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna ride this as long as I can on Bobby. I got your wife on Dolls Diaries.
I get it. Hey, you did something he could not do, so
the boobs too. That's what started all this. I hope everybody knows. I don't even care. It was a conversation about my boobs.
About boobs. That's what brought this.
And then next thing we know, here we are.
Yep, absolutely.
Universally bringing people together.
With Tats. Yep. With Tats. Tats brings us all together.
Oh my god, that's funny. I can't get over the cherry thing.
I love it. Hey, listen, everybody knows Twitter is a cesspool. Everybody knows that. But it can get crazy there. So.
But there's also really cool people. It's great for connecting.
Absolutely.
I would never have met Thirsty if I didn't just randomly tweet out like, it'd be cool to be on a podcast. And he was like, come on. Then I met Bob.
I love it.
Evan, Steve. I met everybody. They're great. Okay, so I know you're not a Swiftie. We're converting you. Me and Blue are converting you.
Let's see. Let's see if you can.
So Super Bowl's coming up. I assume you guys are going to be watching it.
Yep.
Who are you rooting for? Taylor's boyfriend or Nick Bosa?
I don't know who Nick Bosa is. I like the Kelsey brothers. I love their podcast. I'm rooting for the commercials because I've been in advertising for 13 years. That's like my career, my living. Commercials pay the bills in this house.
Okay.
But I think because of how much I like the Kelsey brothers and their podcast, I think I'm going to root for them because it's hard not to find those two guys unlikable. And his brother, the one who plays for the Eagles, right? Yeah. He plays for the Eagles.
Yeah.
I find him extremely attractive. So, I told Bobby, I know why I find him attractive. He looks like you. Bam! He has that bear-looking guy. So, yeah. I think I'm going to root for the Kelsey because of the podcast and not because of Taylor Swift. Sorry. I could care less who the guy dates, but because they have an amazing podcast, I'm going to root for them.
Their podcast is really.
Oh, and have you seen the views? Like when you go to YouTube,
no,
they get like 1 million, 2 million views easy on a video.
Oh yeah. Well, that's because they're both, anyway, this is Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa. I feel like I've seen that face before, but
he has a Skims commercial for underwear with Kim Kardashian.
Oh, that's the guy. I've seen him.
A whole bunch of like athletes.
Yep, I've seen him.
Yeah, so my 6-year-old decided that the way he's going to determine who we're rooting for, because obviously the Dolphins aren't in. I know a lot of people are rooting for the Niners because we think like no AFC team should win. But his method is that he said whoever scores first.
Whoever scores first. That's a great way to put it. Hey.
Because we don't care. As Dolphin fans, we don't care, And so, yeah, I was like, I'll go with you. Whoever scores first will have our vote.
Whoever scores first. That sounds good. That
sounds
100% valid.
I don't have an egg in it. Evan,
Look at Evan. Look at I love Evan.
I haven't seen him in a while. He kind of avoided us for.
I know. He goes into a dark hole every so often and then pops his head out, saying, "Hey, I'm back." And I love that about him.
Like a groundhog. I love it.
I love it too.
So do you watch the Dolphin games with Bob? Like, do you sit and watch the full game, or do you just like casually like listen in the background?
Not from beginning to end, but yeah, I do go into the living room and watch, especially as it's getting closer to the fourth quarter. I get more interested.
Okay.
But for sometimes, I would come here and come to my bedroom and put Dateline instead of watching the Dolphins game, especially if Tua throws an interception. That's a turn off for me. The moment the guy throws an interception, I tune off completely and I walk away. It is easy for me to disconnect from the sport because it is not a sport that I feel deeply connected to.
Yeah.
Whereas if, like championship Miami Heat game, like when they were playing in the, like that was intense, and I stay from beginning to end and I jump and scream with Bobby. But no, with the Dolphins, like, if they're, I kind of get a feel, it's also depend. I'm very ADHD. So I see a bird, squirrel, and then I walk away and then I come back. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah, I'm supportive. There's some weird rules that we have while watching a Dolphins game. Like if Bobby sits in a certain position and they score, he remains in that position for the entire game. If I cannot be affectionate during a Dolphins game, he swears that the moment I kiss him and show affection, the game goes crazy and they end up throwing interceptions, and then it's my fault that they lose. Because why not? I mean, sorry, something popped up here. Okay.
Are you not superstitious? Because if somebody walks in the room and a good play happens, they cannot leave the room until a bad.
Holy crap! Okay, so this is cultural. I'm seeing with the Dolphins culture, right? Or maybe every team, right?
So, like, if we have a terrible first half and I'm sitting on like the left couch cushion, I'll move to the right couch cushion for the next half because we have to start fresh. But if we have a great first half, I have everybody. Positions stay the same. Things can't move. If whatever shirt I'm wearing during the Dolphins game, whether it be like a Dolphins t-shirt, a hoodie, if we lose, I cannot wear that for the rest of the season. It is tainted with bad juju. It needs.
Do you hear how mad this is? Do you hear the madness behind everything you're saying?
No, I think people in the comments. This is a real rational thing. This
are you guys that superstitious? Look at this. The comments. I moved it to the comments, and all of a sudden I can see what everybody's writing.
This is normal. I don't know, like, what anyone. This is not crazy behavior. This is absolutely normal behavior.
That's exactly what Bobby feels. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is absolutely normal in this household, and it's gonna remain as such.
This is like, do you want to watch a Dolphins game together? I'm like, I don't think you're built for that.
He doesn't wear Dolphins gear when he's watching the Dolphins game. No Dolphins shirt.
If things are going south, I've changed at halftime. If we're having a terrible half, I've changed at halftime because I'm like, everything is not working. I need to get Sage. Something's wrong. It's my fault.
Oh my goodness, this is insane.
Yeah, same. The Heat game when I went to the NBA Finals last year, Game 6 in Denver. Yeah. I probably like 3 games ago was the first time I wore that Heat shirt since that, because it was tainted with the finals. And we won when I wore it, so the juju was back.
Are you taking questions? I don't know. Ask away, and I'll decide whether I want to answer it or not.
This is interactive. We haven't had it. No, it's usually the third quarter. We usually go downhill, and in the fourth quarter we try to catch up to what we allowed happening in the third quarter. And I think this is normal. And you remember, I'm also drinking during.
This is madness. The amount of superstition behind this whole culture of NFL/Dolphins, it's insane. Like, I've seen Bobby twist his ankle in a certain way, and or let's say he put his leg in a very uncomfortable position by mistake, and they score. He would remain in that same uncomfortable position even if it gives him pain.
It happens. You know what I mean?
I'm like, you are mad. You are crazy. This is insane. And yeah, at times when that happens, I end up walking away because I'm like, this is too ridiculous for me to even bear.
Yeah,
I'd rather watch Dateline, somebody solving a murder mystery.
My dad and brothers are the same way with the Steelers. So like I grew up, and to me, this is just like normal American football culture.
Oh wow!
Actually,
That's
Thursday
crazy.
gets Tati on the network. Yours truly did.
Do not give the credit to a man. I like you, Thirsty, but do not give the credit to the man. It was all doll.
But it was all me, and
it was all doll.
My personality.
She did the hustling, the convincing, and I ended up doing it. Something that Bobby hasn't been able to do again.
I put in the work. My drink of
Absolutely.
choice. So honestly, White Claw's not my drink of choice. It's just what I have. My drink of choice during a Dolphins game is margarita and tequila.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't. I go right to the hard stuff. I don't. You don't want to see what I was like at the end of that Titans game. I'm sure Bobby was a wreck as well. I think we all were. I think we podcasted after that game, and I think that was the first drunken podcast. We're getting into Tua. How do you feel about Tua as the non-diehard? I feel like a more unbiased. We won't go super into Tua, but like just from an outsider's perspective of like, you're not a Tua stan, you're not a Tua hater. Where do you feel on Tua?
From what total apathy. But I feel bad for the guy. I do, because he gets a lot of heat from people. And I know, I don't know, I'm not going to claim I know about the sport or the position, but I know in this scale, I do agree that something that Thirsty said once is that it is very difficult to judge him because he's in that threshold of being like good and great. He's not great. He's rather good. So it's hard to get rid of him because he's not terrible. If he was terrible, completely and absolutely terrible, it'd be easy to dismiss him and say, bye, next. But because he's in that middle of the ground where he's not great, but also, he's not great. He's not elite, even though he can perform at times. You can find little pockets of him where he can perform at that level, but he's in that good stand. He's like, the kid who gets C+ in the classroom and gets very happy because he got C+. You see? And I do feel bad for the guy because he gets a lot of heat from people. And also, I cannot stand his fans because they're very delusional and very, I do not like when people put this like holier than thou mentality of like, this is the greatest of them all. No, be realistic. Call out what you think the guy does good, what you think the guy does bad. And there's nothing wrong with that. Call it like it is. You don't have to be a Tua stan and then, praise at the altar of Tua. No, like, call it out. Call it out and be happy calling it out. It's fine.
I agree with you. I think that, and I try to keep myself Tua neutral because
me too.
Especially on X, I think people if there's an argument, there's sides. Okay. There is
and it's extreme. You cannot find middle of the ground people. It's like these delusional people who think he is the greatest thing after, I don't know. And then there's these people here that think like, oh, he's terrible. I hope he dies. And I'm like, what? You guys are.
I think in order to be in the NFL, you have to at least be better than average. For anybody, even like the worst of the worst, you have to be better than average to be in the NFL. You have to have skill. So you can't sit there and say that any quarterback in the NFL doesn't have skill and is terrible because they're at least better than the regular population. Now, within the NFL, you then have your elite and you're not elite. I don't think Tua has breached elite yet. I think he shows flashes of it, but I think his biggest problem is consistency. And I think that, he's good. He can manage it. He can get you if everything works perfectly and he has the team around him, he can help get you there with support, but he's not going to like be like a Peyton Manning who could like
absolutely
sling it downfield and you can trust like he will put the game on his shoulders. That's, I think, where the disconnect is. And Evan is trying to really rile me up.
I understand. I see Evan. I see what Evan's doing, and I see that what Jock said. I don't know if I'm completely butchering your name. I'm sorry. It says Tua has elite traits, and I do see that. I do like that these little positions and these little bursts of like, ooh. But then that's what gives you excited, and then brings you right back down to disappointment after he does something stupid. So I'm more of the let's not get our hopes up with Tua, because if you get your hopes too up, then you're gonna be disappointed. But I'm gonna remain with that. I do feel bad for the guy because people out like I saw people commenting that they were hoping he had another concussion so he could leave the team. Like, how can you be that stupid and that heartless? Like, even I don't think that. Like, it's like, and Bobby says I have a cold heart. So I'm like, what? Why are people acting like this? This is insane.
People get a little too crazy. I think he is definitely like Ronald McDonald. He is a game manager. I think Tua and if Brock Purdy can get to the Super Bowl, Tua could get the Super Bowl if everything worked out the same way with the 49ers. It didn't. I think we're stuck with Tua for at least another year. But it's always nice to get somebody who's not like in the diehard to get their like opinion on like the diehard, 2 lanes. There's a middle lane.
Yeah.
But now how do you feel? We'll do some Miami Heat talk.
Okay.
So you can get there. Do you agree with the assumption that Tyler Hero should not be in the starting 5 and should actually come off the bench? And people say that Duncan should be in the starting 5.
Oh, I would put Duncan over Tyler Hero any day. That's just my opinion.
That's better coming off the bench.
Yeah.
He really hasn't impressed me lately.
Yeah. I mean, I would say there was a honeymoon period with Tyler Hero. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
There was definitely a honeymoon period that has declined after that. In the beginning, I was very like, "Ooh, who's this kid? Let me look him up." And I don't even care much about him because of that. But yeah, I'm gonna be agreeing with you on that one. Yes, absolutely.
I think we built Hero up last year because when we made our finals run.
Yep.
A little bit. So everybody was like, if we had Hero back, man, if we had Hero because he was out, now we have him back. And we even have Rozier now. And it's kind of like still something's missing. So I think we did. I think like he had this flash and then he went down and we're like, oh my God, if he was here, that's what could have won us the finals. And I don't know if that was.
Yeah, I feel like he had that shooting star effect where it mesmerizes you, but then it disappears and then you forget that it ever happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may sound too rough on that one, but yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Butler is not 70. Calm down.
I love Butler. Here's the thing, and now that we're talking about the Heat, one of the things that attracted me to the Heat was the Wade effect, the effect that Dwayne Wade had on the fans and on the culture. That to me, I fell in love with the Heat because of Wade only. It broke my heart when he left for a little period.
Yeah. Because
I'm like, you're basically ripping the soul out of Miami and bringing it somewhere else. But there's another player that I have a very soft spot for. So when they started talking trash about him, I got very defensive too, which is Udonis Haslem. I have a very special place in my heart for that guy. Like, to be from Miami, play for one team for his entire career, and then retire his jersey there. I think it doesn't get any better than that. I think he is what I call career goals. When you take the sports vision out of you and you think about the professionalism side of the organization, Udonis Haslem is an example to follow because he has given his heart and soul to an organization that reciprocates that and gives him that respect. Regardless of what other people say, that guy from that team that has that show, I don't know anybody from any other team that is not the Miami Heat. I'm sorry. So when the one that you call a little bitch, loved it. I love it. I even grabbed the clip, tagged him, and posted it on my Instagram story, hoping that he'd see it.
Well,
I did.
Where I got all that hate mail from. No, I'm kidding.
No, like, because I do 1000% agree with that sentiment. Like, how dare you talk bad about you, Dennis Haslam? How dare you talk bad about UD? That is somebody that I see as, because he's loyal to the fans and he's loyal to the team. We must give him that in return. That's the best thing you can do for the guy. I mean, I love him. I love the Heat, but I love Wade and Dennis.
People want to trade.
Oh wow.
Micah Parsons. Could Micah Parsons play basketball? Is a great question.
I don't even know who Micah. Wow.
He's a football player for, I think, he's the Cowboys. Bam's overrated. We need a true center. I do think that we need more size. We're undersized. The Heat are undersized. It showed when we played the Nuggets. We do need, but I don't know that there's any that I'd go after and give up more than like Caleb Martin for.
Yeah, they do need the height. That's right, but I believe what they don't have in height, they make up in skill. Is just that sometimes things get a little organized, and
stop missing. Easy open shots. That's really trust Riley. I trust Pat Riley more than I trust Chris Greer.
Oh, I trust Riley. I love Riley.
Do you think Pat Riley could GM the Dolphins and the Heat?
Yes, please bring him into the NFL, for God's sake, please.
I wonder if he could just do both, like double time,
Yep.
Especially if the Heat aren't making trades. I mean, really, what are you doing up in that office? Let's get Chris Greer out the door and just slide yourself right in there.
Mm-hmm. Trade hero for LeBron. Who's that girl? I don't know that girl.
Well, LeBron, we talked about this on Goose Squad, and
I don't know her.
If the Heat get Bronny, then LeBron will go wherever Bronny's going. So there's a chance if the Heat go that way. But we'll have to. Don't trust Greer. I don't trust Chris Greer.
Any team Alex is tie on will choke. That's so sad, man.
Really rude. Don't say that. Do you know how rough it was to be? Actually, it wasn't. The Denver Nuggets fan base, I will say, are some of the nicest people that I've ever met. And that, I was coming from Philly. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get shanked in an alleyway. Like, they're going to fight with me. I'm going to walk into that bar and it's going to be they were the nicest people. And I even ran into people who live in my area up here. They're from my area in Pennsylvania. And more than one person, I said, I'm like, I really, you guys are so nice. Like, an old man, hugged me after the game. I was like, I'm so sorry for your loss. A very nice.
That's so nice.
They all told me, they were like, yeah, we're all too high.
Really Little did she find out that old man wanted something else.
No, he was like.
That's so sweet, though. No.
Nice. So I will say, nicest fan base. They really didn't. I was waiting for them to grease poles and riot Philly, but no, we went to a couple bars, a very nice fan base. So I will say that. I hate that they won, but a very, very nice fan base. I feel like maybe the NBA fan bases are nicer than.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Football fan bases.
Yeah. I don't remember, Bobby can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's doing on some other show because he's not here. But I don't think I've ever gone to a Heat game. I have gone to Miami Dolphins games. I have done that. And one day I went to a Marlins game and I felt like I was gonna die because watching baseball is like watching paint dry.
It's boring.
It's painful.
I'm trying to get into it. I met a really nice girl on X who is really big into the Phillies. So she said to take me to a game. And I was like, I'm willing to try. I put out today, teach me hockey, because I feel like maybe that's aggressive and fast paced enough. Bobby's I think he's doing the draft show now. I'm not I haven't dug into the draft other than I really like that big center from Oregon.
Yeah.
But what do you hear? What are you hearing living with Bobby, who claims that he is knee deep in NFL draft?
I cannot give you any input there. I tune out all the names that he mentions because he knows so much about everybody's life. I don't know how you can sit here and know about everybody's life, what school they go to, who are their parents, what year were they born, how many times they've been injured. Come on. I can only keep up so much. But all I know is that he does his assignment well. He reads and reads and reads upon every single detail. And I know that he's gotten it right.
They want me to remind everybody that the draft show is 8 p.m. on Fins Talk Sports Network. So go over there when this is over, and you can listen to Bobby talk his little heart out about the draft.
Absolutely. And it's a passion thing for him. Like, he's passionate about this. Even before we had the show, he would buy the draft magazines, proceed to have a stupid notebook, and write down everything, like a notebook like this thick, of like notes and information about players who he's never met and probably never gonna meet in his life. So yeah, I do feel a little bit like I respect the hustle. I respect the doing the homework and studying, but it's a little much. It's a little much.
Raphael, I have gone on a record. We're enemies now. I do not want the Dolphins to take a wide receiver in the first round. For God's sake, you will get your fancy wide receiver, and then Tua's going to get sacked, and he's going to have no one to throw the ball to. Okay? Your little receiver can run his pretty little routes. We have Waddle. We have Reek. We have Easy-E, who I'm excited is going to come back. But if there is no offensive line to protect him and the timing is thrown off, what are we going to do? What?
Easy-E, is that the guy with a long last name?
Yeah, Azukuma?
Something like that. Yes, yeah. Easy-E. Okay. He's coming back?
I mean, he's on the team. He's on the roster. I don't think he's a free agent yet. And he's been posting a whole bunch of like workout videos that he's like still getting, that he's ready to come back. But yeah, people keep wanting to go to these flashy positions and forget the fact that we like the basic foundation of our team is like decrepit. They're injured. There's no depth. I'm a really big fan of building that up, and I think we have enough core players to get us to where we need to go. But that's just
why does the Dolphin like to go for damaged goods? Has anybody ever asked that question?
Where do we go for damaged goods?
No, like
Chris Greer.
Why do they keep going back to damaged goods? And I have a very good, I mean, it's a clear explanation to that. It's cheaper, I guess, to go after damaged goods.
Mm-hmm. Cheaper. Yeah. For some reason, Chris Greer really loves it. I think that's what it comes down to is money. But Chris Greer, like if you get injured, like the joke is like you're coming to the Dolphins.
I'm gonna psychoanalyze this. It's probably money, but also hero complex. He wants to be somebody's hero, probably.
Maybe.
And revive their career and just kind of like, hey, look what I did for you.
Yeah, but the problem, especially with like the linemen, is that they're in every play. It's a physical position. So if you get somebody that's already prone to injuries, that's a problem.
Okay.
The cheapest way to get somebody is through the draft, is to get these young kids on these rookie deals this way. But it's also a way to get young and develop talent. But the Dolphins struggle developing talent. Free Cam Smith. We all know where I feel about that.
So they don't have a development coach? Is that the thing?
Have you not heard my rants about Vic Fangio and Cam Smith?
I think I have, but I mean...
I was with Evan and I went on a 5-minute rant about it. I timed it. It was 5 minutes.
Okay.
He was like, we got him second round last year as our second round pick, a corner. Mm-hmm. And Vic Fangio decided he hated him and did not play him at all. He was on the scout team. He didn't get any reps. Instead, he went with Eli Apple, who we all know is somebody that I hate the most in the world.
I know that name because of you.
Yeah. And then he would come out and be like, oh, he's not ready. He doesn't have the skill. And like all the poor skills that he listed were Eli Apple. Like it was
oh my goodness.
The only difference is that like Eli Apple was a veteran. But they really didn't develop him, and they really just like let him hang out. And he should have been getting reps. He should have been, in, and there was a lot of scheme problems. But I don't think, my personal opinion, people disagree with me, but my personal opinion is that they did not develop his talent. I think that this year he's going to be a year behind because they didn't take the time to develop him. Braxton Berrios was a disappointment as well. He was just great at not fumbling the ball, but he didn't do anything. He caught the ball. He ran really, really fast for 5 yards, and then he got tackled. And he didn't miss a tackle. He didn't do anything to get out of it. He never gave us good field position. Steve is the guy that keeps everyone warm and fuzzy. Yeah, Steve is just a sweetheart.
I really like Steve. Yes, I do.
Evan, it's like you didn't come, and then you just wanted to come in here and end our friendship. It's fine. Beauty and the Beast is on hold.
Where is Beauty and the Beast? I thought this was happening.
He blows me off. Ask Evan. He blows me off every time I ask. Oh,
He doesn't want to do it. Like, what is going on, Evan?
I'll find a new beast.
Yeah, find yourself a new beast, because Who
wants to do a show with Doll? I'll take somebody if anybody wants to come on. It's gonna just
any man can be a beast, so go for it, people.
Achan, I like Achan. Do you know about Achan?
I love Achan. Yeah. I love Achan. I think he was a breath of fresh air for the team, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, but I wish we have utilized him better and more.
Well, he did get hurt, so I think
that's right. Sorry, I forgot about that. He did get hurt,
but. Yeah, but I would have liked to see a little bit. Well, the problem is that McDaniel kept abandoning the run. Like, he'd be like, oh, cool, we're running. Well, let's stop and let this whole series, let's just let Tua throw the football.
Yep.
And, wow, slay out. The truth hurts, Evan. You want to troll me about Xavier Howard? That is a line we don't cross. There is no Xavier Howard slander on Doll's Diaries.
G-Man, the beast is supposed to be Evan, but he has not signed the contract yet. He keeps messing with the contract, but not signed it yet.
He like stood me up. Kind of hurtful.
It is.
So knowing all this, do you expect? Well, so let me ask you. Dolphins just hired defensive coordinator. Anthony Barber. Have you heard about that?
Yes, I was part. Bobby created the graphic, and yeah, I remember all of that. I remember Weaver from the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that he will do a better or worse job than Vic Fangio? From everything you've heard about.
Here's the thing. Fangio I never got a good vibe out of Fangio, even though I didn't know the guy. I think he's going to do better because of where the Ravens made it this year. I don't know Weaver. I'm not familiar with how he coaches, but if I judge it on the success of that team, I think the Dolphins are in good hands.
I agree. All right. Cap wants to know, what do you think the Dolphins need? What are we missing from your perspective?
Oh, why are you asking me? I don't know anything. I'm just probably going to regurgitate something that Bobby said.
That's fine.
Or
nice sometimes to get like an unbiased opinion.
Or no, I do believe. Here's the thing. Don't kill me, but I never saw the team making it to the Super Bowl. That to me is a bit unreachable for the Dolphins at this point. Okay. I did see this year to be the year that they made it to the AFC Championship. I did kind of like saw that, and I was like almost hoping for that, not because of my husband, but because of my husband, my stepfather-in-law, my husband's stepdad. I want him to see something like that in this period because it means a lot to him. I feel like when the window of success opens, it's for a short period of time, and I believe this was their chance. And I feel like they probably missed it for a little bit now. And when they finally get an elite quarterback, a grade to elite quarterback, I feel like we're gonna have that glimpse of hope again, like championship level. I believe Tua can take this team to the playoffs, and I believe this team can win a playoff game with Tua. I don't know if, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know if Tua can bring this team all the way to championship and have everything was falling perfectly this year for the Dolphins to make it to this AFC Championship. And I agree with Evan when he says the moment they lost with the Titans, I believe that somebody came with a sword and cut off their legs, and then they could not move ahead after that. That was like the curse. That to me was the curse.
Yeah, I think the injuries also just.
Yes. Oh, the damn injuries.
There was when you go into a playoff game with 9 starters out, and we had signed, I think it was like 3 linemen, D linemen, like Thursday for a Saturday game. I knew. I was like, there's no way. If you need to go forward, you need at least most of your starters. And I don't think that McDaniel is ready to coach a playoff winning team. Just for I don't think that he can think of plays and he's creative, but I think he struggles to call the plays during the game.
He struggles delegating. If he just delegates and takes a backseat and lets his coaches, each specialty coaches, I don't know, defensive, whatever, If he delegates and allows them to make judgment and decisions, this team can make it with McDaniel. I do believe that. I do believe it.
I think he can create the plays. I think he creates great plays, and I think he understands what Tua needs. But I think sometimes he's sitting and he's being pulled in 8 directions, and then he forgets what down it is, where we are in the field, and he's calling plays that don't make sense. He's challenging things that shouldn't be challenged. And I think that there's just too much going on that he can't.
Well, that tells me that's an inexperience right there. That's inexperience.
It is an experience, but I think that he had somebody more experienced. Our offensive coordinator should be on the side with him.
Yep.
Over the management situations like that, like in-game management. I don't think he handles that. But then it's like, do you just let him? And I don't think that he adjusted well. I think every press conference, it was like, yeah, I need to do better. And then the next game, same thing happened.
Yep.
He's like, yep, I need to do better. And I just think that he needs somebody experienced being like, listen, you gave me the plays to call, but let me choose when I'm calling the plays.
Yep. And I believe it's so funny because I may not know much about the sport on its own, but I think it from the business perspective and from the professional side. And a great leader builds an amazing team when he starts delegating and allowing and trusting his managers to do the work that's supposed to be done. And a person at that level almost takes a bit of a backseat and only becomes the support system, but allows his managers to shine and succeed. And if McDaniel gets to do that, this team can make it far. Right now, if you give me a scale of like who's the biggest roadblock for the Miami Dolphins, is it Tua or is it McDaniel? I'm gonna say Tua is the biggest roadblock. That's just my opinion. I think McDaniel makes himself a roadblock, but if he could just take a step back, he can continue to be the head coach and allowing his people to do the job.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely, and I think that's a big question. But I think this year, unfortunately, they're both coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they can go. We can go win a playoff game. We just need to actually fix the things instead of telling me that we need to fix them. I need them to actually fix them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest issue. But I agree because I think if McDaniel I don't want McDaniel to get the learning curve for the Dolphins, leave, and then go be a great coach somewhere else. And then we're sitting here like, really? We suffered these years while you were, and then you're gonna go and like win a Super Bowl with like the Cardinals. Like that's how I don't think Tua's gonna go and win anything. I think he's kind of gonna be like Tannehill, where he went to the Titans, had Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry really took the lead of that offense, and as well kept coming up short. I think that's pretty doable. Let's see what Anthony says. I like McDaniel, but he has the glitch that Shanahan has where they have to be the smartest guy in the room. Yep. I think you nailed it on the head. And if you watch the 49ers, him and McDaniel are identical because Shanahan also abandoned the run with Christian McCaffrey, but Shanahan at least has the intelligence and the experience that he made the adjustments that they needed to, end up getting the win.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that I think that Shanahan just has that over him, but I do think that they coach very similarly. And if that's why I'm saying, like, if Brock Purdy can get to the Super Bowl, so can Tua, because the Dolphins and the 49ers basically run the same offense. I mean, it's a very similar, they're from the same tree. So it's doable. It's just getting the right pieces and calling the right plays. That's my personal opinion. But
absolutely. And I don't know who Shanahan is, but when he used the words relinquish power, it makes me think, and it almost makes me trace back a little bit because it does start in leadership, and that happens organizationally with every company. If you have a toxic leader who wants to hold on to power and micromanage, then your team cannot shine, and in the end, you end up losing great employees. Because if I associate that with football, then McDaniel not relinquishing power can end up hurting him in the long run.
So quickly, Kyle Shanahan is the head coach for the 49ers.
Okay.
And Mike McDaniel worked with Shanahan from the 49ers.
That makes sense why their style is the same.
Right. Yeah. So McDaniel basically learned under Shanahan. Then he went and got his own head coaching job with the Dolphins. So that's why we draw.
That's his blueprint.
Yep.
He had no other blueprint other than this one person. He hasn't been able to work with other styles of coaches.
Yep. That's where he kind of learned under. And that's why we say like that they have the Niners, the Dolphins run a similar offense. This is why, because that's who he learned from. That's where his mentor, and he came over and he took a lot of that and brought it to the Dolphins. So that's the background of why we're comparing those two teams.
Oh, that gives me a lot of information.
Look at me teaching you. Who needs Bobby?
I know.
Also, I want to say thank you, Raphael. There's no yelling and name calling because women can have a conversation. And there's no need for it. Sometimes when people start to talk about Dolphins and sports, it doesn't need to be, we can have different opinions and still have a conversation. And some people don't know how to do that. We are roasting Bobby.
Hey, I keep telling people everywhere I go that the biggest lie ever told and the biggest social brainwash ever told is the fact that women are emotional and emotional reactors. When you look at sports fans, when you go to Twitter, when you talk to sports fans, which the majority are male, that's when you find out that the most emotional being and the most passionate in terms of that, level being is men. They resort to name calling, violence. When you go through like all the, I know this is probably, people are not going to like me for saying this, but I mean, it's true. Like the amount of drama that goes on these hashtag sports teams.
The men. It's all the men.
I'm scrolling through them. And then you have conspiracy theorists on one side, people who are like having full grown men having meltdowns.
Oh yeah, well they're insane. And then when the women try to like inject ourselves to be like, guys, let's calm down, they're like, you know nothing about football. You're just a girl, or you're ugly. Shut up. Like
exactly.
Like a 5th grade little boy insulting girls on the playground. And but people can have conversations. And I invite anybody, if you disagree with my views, you can come on my show. I'm not going to yell at you unless we start talking shit about Xavier Howard. Then that's where I draw the fucking line, people. I can have a conversation because I know that this is my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm
not saying women aren't emotional. That never came out of my mouth, ABAD.
I never said that. I just said that.
Never said that. I did not say that.
Our arguments better. We can articulate our arguments better. We're also moms. So therefore, we can manage unruly children.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We can handle emotions really well. Look at our kids having meltdowns sometimes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But no, I think it's great to just have a conversation. And I think it's great to have multiple views. I know like the two of us can't do it, but having multiple views. And then sometimes you can kind of be like, wait a minute, I don't agree, but I can see how you got to that point. I was on a space on Twitter. I just learned about space. And I was talking about Fangio, and another guy interrupted and was like, actually, I don't see that, but I can see how you got there. And we had just like a normal, calm conversation. And I was like, I can see your point. You can see my point. We can agree to disagree.
That's amazing.
And that's how it had to end. There was no like, I hate you. You should die.
Yeah.
Idiot. You don't know sports if you don't see my point of view. No.
Exactly. And then they insult you. And when you go like, wait a minute, why are you insulting me? Oh, you're not respecting my opinion. An insult is not an opinion, people.
No.
An insult is not an opinion.
Anything about this team is an opinion. Hard fact.
Exactly.
An opinion. Because we can watch the same football game and I could be focusing on, say I'm focusing on the wide receiver. And I'm like, wow, Tyreek, look at him getting jammed up. That play would have gone better if Tyreek didn't get jammed up, if he created space. You could be watching the play, but you could be looking at the running back, Mozart, and you could be saying, look at him. He didn't pick up that block on the end. Tua got sacked, or had to run out the pocket, and that whole play would have gone better if we had a running back who could block. We watched the same play, but we each zoned in on two different
areas. Yep.
Different areas. It doesn't make either one of us wrong. It just means that we see the same thing. We're watching the same thing, but we're picking up different things that could have been fixed.
Absolutely.
Okay, it looks like Bobby's trying to kick us out. He even said please with a smiley face.
Oh, look at that. How polite.
All right, guys. Well, I think that we'll wrap it up then, because I don't want to get the draft show in trouble. Tati, thank you for coming on. This
was amazing.
It wasn't bad, right? It's more intimidating than it sounds.
Ask Georgette, I was a wreck. I was having anxiety over this. I was like, oh, I have so much anxiety for this. I mean, I'm so used to working behind the scenes, and that, you know, it's just easier to be behind the scenes and be a strategic mind versus doing this. But I like this. It's good therapy.
It was just a conversation. You did great. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Hit that like and subscribe for Thirsty.
Go Heat.
Yeah, I'll be there. Don't forget, I'm live streaming from the game.
You do.
Fins Talk Sports Network. Bobby does not have a say in this. And as always, fins up.
Fins up.